In this episode of the Stories to be Told blog series, we go on a journey through the hidden history of Canada's colonial past, focusing on the tragic legacy of residential schools. The discoveries of unmarked graves at the former residential schools in British Columbia and Saskatchewan brought to light the dark realities faced by Indigenous communities in Canada. The discovery of early remains were first cited in 2004 and unmarked graves more widely discovered from then on up until 2022, and are part of a wider narrative that tells of the injustices and acts of atrocities which were common throughout colonial times. It is a stark and tragic reminder that while we work towards an ideal of eradicating injustices today, the reality is that, like most unmarked graves, the evidence of injustices never disappear. They just remain hidden. Over time, these become the whispers of constant reminders about our colonial past that eventually become exposed and expanded into a scream, a rude awakening to realities which can no longer be ignored. This is the predicament within which the nation of Canada finds itself today. We are urged to delve deep into the historical context and explore how these institutions were part of a broader system aimed at erasing Indigenous identities and assimilating them into European culture. Tracy encourages us to draw parallels between the colonial histories of Canada and other former colonies, highlighting the systematic use of education as a tool for cultural assimilation and control. Such a traumatic and devastating discovery not only sheds light on the past, but also questions the present and future of reconciliation efforts between the Canadian government and its Indigenous peoples. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, established in 2008, plays a pivotal role in addressing these historical injustices, but the path to healing and understanding remains complex. More recently, Canada has come under the spotlight once again. It has been barely 3 weeks since the inauguration of the new US administration, with assertions of new colonial interests in making Canada the 51st state and imposing tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminium and vehicles, which has certainly created trade tensions with the United States, Mexico and Canada agreement. As one of the largest suppliers of goods to the US, the threat of tariffs has created an environment where it has become difficult to negotiate and has developed a sense of mistrust between the two countries. However, there's no sign of mistrust in establishing positive daily habits that can enhance your well-being and mental wealth for the here and now and well into the future. A mental wealth that is part of a bigger strategy to improve your sleep, diet, exercise, your ability to manage stress, together with the use of exogenous compounds such as those found in Magic Mind. Validated by a scientific advisory board of doctors and medical researchers from over 200 scientific studies, Magic Mind is formulated with 12 active ingredients, including organically grown mushroom, the best nootropics, cognizin and citicoline adaptogens, matcha of the highest possible grade, plus 100% of your daily vitamin C and D in every bottle, and it's tariff-free. So there's no question of a trade war. Just trade in that afternoon tiredness and caffeine crash for a daily experience of sustained concentration, productivity and sublime mental clarity. Improve your mental wealth throughout the day with one performance shot of Magic Mind in the morning and one sleep shot before bedtime, which can help you to wind down for a much needed restful night. Why not try the challenge to kickstart your progress to mental wealth for 2025 and get 45% off your purchase of the Magic Mind bundle? Yes, that's the mental performance and sleep shots bundle with no tariffs. Just go to my show notes and click on the link. That's www.magicmind.com/Tracy Jan. That's TRACY Jan, JAN. This dispute undoubtedly caused Canada to react with counter tariffs, disrupting supply chains on both sides of the border, but providing a fresh opportunity to review its trading alliances, which may see closer ties with the European Union and other trading blocs and countries further afield. Tracy's personal connection to the subject matter, as someone dedicated to education and the well-being of children, adds a poignant layer to the discussion. She emphasises the importance of using education as a force for good rather than a means of perpetual hidden agendas. Stories to be Told is not just a history lesson, it's a call to action for listeners to become more aware and informed about the past's impact on present-day society. In October 2024, the Honourable Arif Virani, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada, issued a statement after receiving the final report of the Independent Special Interlocutor for Missing Children and Unmarked Graves and Burial Sites associated with Indian residential schools. Part of that statement was as follows. We cannot ignore the lasting impact of the Indian residential school system and the pain it has caused to Indigenous peoples. The harmful legacy of residential schools, which is one of lost children, languages and cultures, lost opportunities to thrive, grow and live full healthy lives, and silenced truths, continues to be deeply felt today and cannot be denied. In line with the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act and to continue the government's efforts towards reconciliation, we will work with First Nations, Inuit and Métis communities to address the ongoing legacy of Indian residential schools in a way that respects their wishes and traditions. So, what has been the outcome of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission since being established in 2008? In the final report on the missing and disappeared Indigenous children and unmarked burials in Canada, which was published in 2024 by the independently appointed Special Interlocutor, it was acknowledged that there was a problematic history of colonial forms of empathy that pathologises Indigenous people by focusing primarily on their victimisation, rather than on their legitimate political claims as rights holders entitled to accountability, reparations and justice. There was also some clarity in the report about what the state viewed as reparations, being just a basis for cutting off the past and acting as a kind of closure in terms of providing monetary compensation for things like loss of land and the forceful removal or repatriation. And what the Indigenous people actually saw as reparations, which also included a right to self-determination, regaining their political identity and sovereignty. Tune in to Stories to be Told, the podcast series, to reflect on the broader implications of colonialism and the ongoing struggle for Indigenous rights and recognition. the role of religion in the assimilation process, and the shifting alliances and loyalties that further complicated the relationship between Indigenous communities and European settlers. Join Tracy on this enlightening journey and discover how history's whispers can become a powerful scream for change. Whether you're a history enthusiast or someone seeking to understand the complexities of reconciliation, this podcast offers valuable insights and a fresh perspective on Canada's colonial narrative. Don't miss out on this opportunity to learn and grow as we work towards a more just and equitable future for all. Listen now and be part of the conversation. You can also visit the bookshop at storiestobetold.com, where you can purchase Tracy's poetic narratives. And don't forget to comment, leave a 5-star rating and share the podcast with others. It really helps the algorithm to extend the show's reach even further to new audiences. You can contact Tracy on info@storiestobetold.com or on SpeakPipe at speakpipe.com/stories to be told.